What's up, everybody? We are finally back for another waiver wire video, and whether you're crushing your league or hanging on for dear life, you gotta make sure you never stop grinding that wire because it literally could make or break your entire season. Today we're looking at a bunch of players that are getting boosted by bigger roles or defensive prowess and deciding whether they're must-add guys or traps that you should let your league mates waste moves on. If you enjoy this type of content and analysis, make sure you go check out my buy low and sell high videos I released earlier this week. Go hit that sub button if you haven't already, and comment down below if you agree that I'm the greatest ex-college red-shirted former hooper turned mini hooper of all time.
Greatness means everything.
Okay, first guy up that we have in the main waiver wire section is going to be a guy that we have talked about a bunch on this channel. That's going to be Yegor Doyman from the Brooklyn Nets. So yes, we have talked about Doyman a few times this year, and as you guys know, with rookies in the NBA in their first year in the league, there can be a ton of up and downs as they try to adjust the speed and physicality of the NBA, but I think Doyman is almost at a point, or he is at a point now, where he just needs to be rostered in 12-man head-to-head category leagues. And just looking at his game logs, really since December 14th, he's put together an impressive stretch of games with only one real clunker in there. He's averaged over 15 points, 3.5 threes, 4 boards, 3 assists, and over a steal per game while shooting 47% from the floor. Those are damn sexy numbers and definitely rosterable numbers in 12-man leagues and startable ones too. It's not like he's going to be riding your pine. Doyman at 6'9" has great court vision, and the more he gets comfortable, the more his skill set should shine. He hit some massive shots in that crazy Orlando game, definitely boosting his confidence, scoring 10 points in OT. Michael Porter Jr. could be on the move in Brooklyn, opening up even more usage for Doyman. The upside is evident. The arrows are pointing straight up. There will be some ups and downs, it goes without saying, just the life of a rookie in the NBA, but I think Doyman is a very sneaky must roster type of player right now. Next up, we have another repeat guy who has been in a waiver wire video a little while back, and that's Bilal Coulibaly from the Washington Wizards. Now, Coulibaly has been playing really well. He's been active on the defensive end with spike nights for steals, even spiking out with 5 one game and 4 steals in another in his last 5 games now. I think Coulibaly definitely might get a little bump with Young if they mesh well, if they get some chemistry, and that it can really work in transition, as Young is such a great facilitator and such a great passer. He'll always have a nice floor because of his defensive contributions, his defensive prowess, and if the offensive side continues to look up, continues to improve and pick up, he could be an extremely valuable player in 12 league teams to close out the year. I know he didn't have the greatest night tonight. He had been playing better. His shot looked off a little bit tonight, but I still think there's a ton of value to be had in there because of that defensive floor. And again, if his offensive game just picks up a little bit, if he meshes well with Trae Young, I think he could be set up for a pretty decent second half on that Washington Wizards squad. Okay, this section isn't going to be all repeat guys, even though I know it feels like that right now, but the next up we have DeAnthony Melton from the Golden State Warriors. See, I know we have talked about him before, but I do believe Melton is a great fit alongside Curry because of that defensive ability that he has. Steve Kerr wants that to happen and has vocalized it recently. Melton has always been solid when he gets 25 plus minutes per night, and that's right what his minutes cap, his restriction is right now. He's hit 25 minutes in his last 3 games he's playing right now, so I'm super curious to see what his line's going to look like at the end of the night. I do think his minutes will eventually go up as he gets more work back into it, as he gets ramped up, and every extra minute increases his value and locks him into more of a top 100 player going forward. The one thing with Melton, though, for head-to-head leagues is he's not likely to play any back-to-backs anytime soon, but looking ahead with the Warriors schedule, they only have 1 more back-to-back in January and only 1 back-to-back in February, so that's not really an issue there, probably only missing 2 games. The upside with Melton is he's going to be at least a steal per game, probably closer to 2. He'll hit threes, he'll score in double digits most night, and he'll sprinkle in some boards and assists, so he's not a complete zero in those categories either. I do think Melton is getting closer and closer to a must roster guy for 12-team category leagues. He's definitely best suited for category leagues for his defensive contributions. I don't know how good his value will be in points leagues, at least at this moment in time. He's definitely less of an attraction option for that, but for category leagues, he could be a solid end of the roster type guy who can produce on the defensive end with steals and some blocks as a stereotypical 3-and-D player who has a very safe floor. I would be keeping a close eye on Melton to see how his ramp up period goes and to see what his minutes are going to look like going forward. So next up, we have another Washington Wizard, and I know it's not silly season yet, but we're going to go with Trey Johnson. So So CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert being traded to Atlanta with Trae Young coming back to DC, some opportunity is being presented to the former 6th overall pick of the 2025 NBA draft and Texas standout. The usage has had a major bump lately in this last couple of weeks, but it does figure to take a little bit of a hit when Trae Young actually does get on the court. But Trey Johnson has been playing really good ball lately. Johnson is definitely more suited for like a punt assist type of team because he is a guard that's not going to get a ton of assists. He doesn't facilitate all that often, and he most certainly won't with Young in the fold. He'll mainly be a contributor in threes, points, free throw percentage, and steals, but Johnson is a pure 3-level scorer. And what I mean by that is at 6'6", he can get his shot up over any smaller defender whenever he wants. He has the explosiveness to blow by someone, and he has the athleticism to finish above the rim. Like, just picture me in all these mini hoop clips. That's like Trey Johnson in his prime if he was a 5'10" white boy. I think Young will be a positive influence on Washington's transition game, somewhere where Johnson could thrive like he did in college. Again, as I've said earlier in this video, and as all of you know, rookies in the NBA can be so unpredictable unless you're just like Cooper Flag, so you definitely need to proceed with caution, but Johnson could hold a lot of value in the second half of the season if the minutes and the usage and the shots continue to fall his way. Okay, we're going to do something a little different with this section. We're going to go over the most added players over the last couple days from Yahoo Leagues, and I'm going to say whether I would add them, why I think people are adding them, or if we should just definitely avoid them. I honestly didn't even mean to do that. I've started eating dates lately, and they're making me shit my brains out. I don't know if you guys have ever eaten dates really, or like, but holy, it just makes me explode from the lower half. I don't know why I felt the urge to share that. This may or may not stay in the video. Okay, but back to basketball. The first up on the most added list is a guy who I always feel like I'm having a stroke when I try to pronounce his name, but that's Zachary Ricochet from the Atlanta Hawks. Now, he may be one of the least exciting #1 overall picks in like recent memory, but Zachary has actually strung together a couple good games, at least for his standards, most notably hitting 7 long balls for 25 points and 8 boards on Wednesday. I don't know though, I just can't really get into him and know that's not a sexual remark. Like, at best, he's an okay 3-point shooter with some boards. It's not like he's going to be elite anywhere else, at least at this point of his career, and he's probably more likely than not going to hurt you in the percentages. I need to see a lot more consistently from Big Z before I buy into any of it. Next up was Steven Adams for most added, and he has seen a big boost in minutes with the Şengün injury, and Şengün won't be available for at least another week. Adams won't stuff the stat sheet, but he'll bring down a ton of boards, few assists, and hopefully some stocks. I know I'm not chasing Adams anywhere in my leagues, and you probably shouldn't either unless it's strictly for a stream to catch up in boards or maintain or win boards for that category that week. Moussa Diabate, now the big cock Ryan Cockburner has missed 10 straight games for the Hornets with no real positive updates on his injury on when he's going to return. So Diabate has played in 8 of those games when he was sidelined, and he's averaged 8.7 points, 10.7 boards, and 2.4 assists. The key to his success will definitely be playing time, and he's averaged over 30 minutes a game lately. If you need some cheap boards and a smidge of counting stats, just a little taste, Diabate could definitely be your guy, and I'd prefer him over Steven Adams. He maybe has the faintest of hope for some longer term value here. We'll keep going with Colin Murray Boyles from the Toronto Raptors. Now, Jakob Poeltl could be back soon. I think he is most likely to be back in the next few games. I think Colin is just too inconsistent. His value is really being driven by blocks and boards. Games that he doesn't pull down double-digit boards with some blocks, you're most likely going to be very disappointed you started him. I definitely wouldn't be chasing, or I haven't chased Boyles on the wire, especially with Poeltl likely to return very soon. We'll keep going with the next added player, Aaron Wiggins off the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, I assume Wiggins has been getting added so much because he started the last 2 games getting 25 minutes each night, and a bunch of guys are sitting out OKC tonight, so that seemed like it would probably be a decent stream. And sure, Wiggins can help in the stock categories. In both those games, he did bring down a combined 7 in 2 nights, but like, what else are we getting here? He'll barely score, rebound, or assist. You're practically banking on multiple stocks and him falling somehow into 5+ rebounds to be remotely even satisfied with the start. Unless OKC is super short-handed, He's nothing more than like a 1-game stream. Now, next up, we have Jake LaRavia off the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, we'll see what happens when Rui Hachimura is back, but I like LaRavia a lot better for the Lakers. I think he fits them a lot more because he actually can defend. He actually can get active and help them on the defensive end, but I know that's not my decision. I'm not the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. It's still JJ Redick's job to probably lose. So with Austin Reeves still out, the Lakers do need scoring, and Jake can definitely help out with that. When he's playing 30 plus minutes a night like he is, we keep rolling him out there and we keep taking that production until we see otherwise. Just pay attention to the minutes when Rui does get back on the court in the next few games or so. But with the way Jake LaRavia has been playing, he just needs to be rostered in every 12-man league right now. Another highly added guy is Bryce Sensabaugh from the Utah Tankers. So any Utah player is just so confusing to value because you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, is the player going to jump back into the rotation? Are they going to fall out of the rotation? Are they going to play 30 minutes one night, then be held under 15 minutes the next night? It's an absolute circus going on over there for the Tankers. Bryce also just doesn't have the most well-suited, most well-rounded game for fantasy, especially in 9-cat. He's mostly a points guy, and if he isn't scoring 15 plus a night, his lines will be pretty damn ugly, like my hairy gooch ugly. I don't think we need to chase Sensabaugh at this moment, but he might be a silly season type of player. Watch this type guy later on in the year. So remember the name, but I wouldn't go chasing him right now unless we see some real consistent stretch of run here with his minutes and playing time. Next up, we have Julian Champagnie off the San Antonio Spurs. With Devin Vassell out, I really like Champagnie here. I have talked about him in the past. He's definitely more than usable in 12-man leagues. He has been in the past when he gets extended run for the Spurs. He can score, he can rebound, he can hit threes. He hit 11 threes in one game on New Year's Eve. He was absolutely lights out. He's almost at 1 steal per game as well. He's just a solid fantasy player that you need to have rostered for at least the short term. Champagnie has been a top 60th type player the last 2 weeks, and I don't really see that changing until Vassell gets back on the court. All right, and we're getting to the last section here. I know we've done an absolute gauntlet of players, but I'm just pretty horny. You know, I haven't put a waiver wire video in a while, so I just want to go through every name that I feel like we should talk about. But this section is going to be guys I think that just need to be must rostered everywhere. They can't be floating around on any wires for 12 league teams right now. So first up, Tari Eason. So it's pretty self-explanatory here. Eason is a per minute monster who's played over 30 minutes in his last 3 games and stuffed the shit out of the stat sheet. Point blank. It's criminal if he's floating around on any wires right now, especially with Şengün set to miss at least another week. Next up, Najee Marshall. So no, even before the PJ Washington injury, I thought Marshall was doing enough to warrant consideration in 12-team leagues, but with Washington out, he's easily a top 100 player and needs to be at least added for the short term. With the recent news about AD getting an owie on his hand, you know, it looks like he can miss the rest of the season. If he needs surgery, they're probably going to have to amputate it. Also, did you just see the highlight of that injury? How does that require surgery? Torn ligaments? Like, I don't get it. That guy is absolutely made of pure glass. It is really just such a shame, and it does suck. But back to Marshall, if AD does probably miss the rest of the season, that's going to give Marshall another fat bump. He'll have good percentages, he'll score, he'll board with a sprinkle of assists, steals, and threes. He needs to be added. Next up, we'll go with Aaron Nesmith from the Indiana Pacers. Now, we should continue to see heavy minutes with some Pacers dealing with some injuries here. He's playing really well. He's getting a ton of usage. He can score, he can hit the three, he can rebound, pass, and block some shots. He's great from the line, but he has the potential to destroy your field goal percentage on some nights. That's definitely his weakness. I love the Vanderbilt Products fantasy profile when he's getting this kind of run, and he should be added in all 12 league teams right now. We'll see what his role and stuff looks like when Mathurin and Nembhard are back on the court, but right now he's getting too much run and he can stuff that stat sheet that he just can't be floating around on any 12 league team wires. Next up, we have Matt Christie from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, similar to Marshall, if AD does miss any extended time with getting his hand amputated, it will give Christie a continued bump, who has just been shooting the ball very well lately. He can be tough to roster if his shot isn't falling at a consistent clip because he doesn't really dominate any other particular category. But for now, when he's playing this well and with the AD injury news, I think he's a lot better than most end of the roster type guys in your typical 12-man league. And when he does cool off, or if he does cool off, I'm not really sure what it's going to look like with AD completely out of picture and PJ Washington still hurt, but we'll have to see what Kid does, because you know Kid could just randomly cut anyone from the rotation all their minutes at any given nights. You could move on if that happens, but for now we hold him, we add him, and we're going to see where this run takes us. We'll keep going with the guy who has a brother who is the greatest lacrosse player of all time, now turned professional basketball player, Pat Spencer. We're talking about Cam Spencer, though, from the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, with the reports finally coming out that the Grizzlies are open to trading Morant and are going to take it more seriously, Spencer does need to be owned everywhere. We don't know, of course, which players could potentially go or which players could potentially come back in a trade, but there obviously is the possibility that Spencer is that last guy standing and gets an extended look as a starting point guard for Memphis to close out the year. He had been good. He had been solid without Morant when he was dealing with injuries, and he is too fantasy friendly of a skill set to risk leaving him on the wire. Tuck your nuts and run to go get this man. Next up, we're going to go with Peyton Watson off the Denver Nuggets. Now, despite the returns of both Aaron Gordon and Christian Bond, Watson is still being producing and arguably having one of the better stretches of his entire season over the last couple of weeks. Jokic is still a few weeks away, so you have to make sure Watson just isn't floating on your wire right now because the production has just been way too damn good. I'm fully torqued and I'm going to keep riding him until the wheels fall off. And finally, last up, the main guy, the guy in the thumbnail. That's going to be Daniel Gafford off the Dallas Mavericks. Now, we talked about it a lot. AD probably is looking like he's going to miss a massive chunk of time or most likely the rest of the season. So Gafford does need to be added everywhere because he's like one of the last guys standing there. And we know with Gafford, he is one of those rare guys who could actually produce getting only 20 minutes a night. So I think that's definitely going to go up as he gets more up to speed and ramped up. He does have glaring weaknesses though. He doesn't really score, shoot threes, or get assists. Gafford is a highly efficient player who grabs boards, gets steals, and gets blocks. So with AD missing a lot of time, the logic here is that every extra minute that he's bound to get, his value is going to continue to go up. You need to run your dick off right now to check that he's still not floating around on your wire somehow after the AD injury news. I think Gafford could have league-winning potential if his minutes can continue to creep up, if he can stay healthy, because that Dallas team is just so desperate for a center now. He should fit along nicely along Cooper Flag, and I think his value is just going to skyrocket if everything falls right for Gafford going forward. All right, guys, but I think that's it for this video. Make sure to check out my buy low and sell high videos from earlier this week. There's a ton of good guys in there, a ton of good information that could help you win your league. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, liking, hyping, and subbing to this video. Make sure to sub if you haven't. Send a comment down below. I'll try to respond to every single one, every video. Have a good rest of your day, night, week, weekend, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys real soon.